All right, we're about to dive into what is, without a doubt, one of the most hilariously disastrous rehearsals in all of literature. This is from Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, and you're about to meet a group of amateur actors whose ambition is, shall we say, much, much bigger than their talent. And here he is, the star of our show, the center of this glorious train wreck, Nick Bottom. He's a weaver by trade, but in his mind, he's the greatest actor the world has ever seen. This one line, it tells you absolutely everything you need to know. He's got an ego the size of a planet, and he's about to make this rehearsal unforgettable. Now, the poor soul trying to direct this chaos is Peter Quince. He's a local carpenter, and he's decided to gather a troupe of his fellow craftsmen, a woodworker, a tailor, you get the picture, to put on a play for the Duke's big wedding. It's a sweet idea, really. But his actors, well, let's just say they have their own ideas. And just look at the title of the play they've chosen, The Most Lamentable Comedy. I mean, it's a total contradiction, right? That's Shakespeare basically giving us a giant wink from the get-go, letting us know we are in for an absolute mess. So Quince tries, he really does, to get things started in an orderly way. He starts calling the roll, but he barely gets a name out before Nick Bottom just jumps right in, demanding his spotlight. He wants to know what the play's about, who's in it. He's basically hijacking the whole meeting before it's even started. Okay, so Quince casts Bottom as Pyramus, the romantic lead, the hero. But is Bottom happy? Nope, he's not interested in playing some lover. He immediately announces that what he really wants to play is a tyrant. And right there you see it, the director's plan crashing headfirst into his star actor's massive ego. And to prove he's got the chops for it, Bottom just launches into this completely unsolicited audition. He starts bellowing this super over-the-top, ridiculously dramatic verse. He even proudly says it's in the style of Hercules. You can just picture poor Quincy standing there, watching his whole play just spiral out of control. But hey, why stop at just one part, right? For an actor of Bottom's supposed caliber, that's just not enough. As Quince tries to move on and cast the other roles, Bottom sees every single one as another opportunity to showcase his incredible range by trying to play all of them himself. So, next up is the part of Thisbe, the leading lady. Quince gives the role to a guy named Francis Flute, who immediately complains because, and this is a classic actor problem, he's growing a beard. But before Quince can even deal with that, Bottom, of course, has a brilliant idea. Yep, you heard that right. Bottom offers to play the heroine himself. His logic? He'll just wear a mask, nobody will notice. He's totally ready to perform both sides of this tragic love story. The ultimate one-man show in his head. And to prove he can do it, he gives a little sample of his performance. He puts on what he thinks is a super convincing, high-pitched, squeaky voice. You can just imagine Quince's horror as he has to quickly shut him down. Like, no, you must play Pyramus. But is he discouraged? Not a chance. Bottom immediately spots his next big break. Quince casts another guy, Snug, as the lion. Now, the lion's only job is to roar. For most people, that's a pretty small part. For Bottom, it's a show-stopping moment, just waiting to happen. See, he doesn't just want to roar. He wants to deliver the greatest roar in the history of the stage. A roar so amazing, so powerful, that the Duke himself will demand an encore. He's completely missing the point that the lion is supposed to be, a scary beast in a tragedy. Quince, ever the practical one, points out a pretty serious problem. If the roar is too scary, it might frighten the noble ladies watching, and that could get all of them executed. But don't worry, Bottom, the master problem solver, has the perfect, most absurd solution. He'll roar gently, like a dove or a nightingale, a roaring nightingale. It makes absolutely zero sense, and that's exactly why it's so funny. Having finally, and I mean finally, managed to convince Bottom to just stick to his one part, a very weary Peter Quince just races through the rest of the cast list. He's practically throwing parts at people, just trying to get it done before Bottom can volunteer to play a wall or the moon or something. And so here it is, the final chaotic cast list. After all of his interruptions and his little auditions and his grand ideas, Bottom has secured the lead role, which is the one he was offered in the first place. But just looking at this crew, you just know the drama is far from over. And just when you think he's finally settled, Bottom's mind jumps to the next big artistic choice, his beard. What colors should it be? He offers to perform in yellow, or maybe orange-brown, or even a purple dyed beard. He's completely obsessed with these tiny, ridiculous details while the whole production is already a sinking ship. Okay, so the parts are cast, the beard colors are being considered. Quince makes one last-ditch effort to get this production on track. He lays out the plan for their very first rehearsal, which has to be a secret, of course, to keep their masterpiece under wraps. Quince's plan sounds simple enough, right? Learn your lines, meet in the woods. But choosing to rehearse by moonlight in a forest a mile from town, well, he's basically setting the stage for even more chaos, especially since he has no idea they're about to stumble into the world of magical fairies. And who gets the final word of the scene? Who do you think? Of course, it's Nick Bottom. He delivers this ridiculously dramatic, commanding line to the rest of the group, acting as if he's the director and not the main source of all the trouble. It's just the perfect final touch on his massive personality. So that's our setup. We've got a hopelessly overconfident lead actor, a cast of totally clueless craftsmen, and a play that is just doomed from the very start. It really leaves us with just one burning question. If the rehearsal is this much of a train wreck, what on earth is the final performance going to look like?